My political background, I have a PhD in political science. I've worked on a number of political campaigns in my life. I'm an expert in political polling more than anything else, but I've also involved general campaign management, so advertising design, electoral law, pretty much all facets of a campaign I've touched at one point or another, typically at the statewide level, with some smaller offices also included. Point out that in terms of electoral law, the Supreme Court's pretty much told political candidates, as long as something isn't blatantly false and blatantly geared towards harming another candidate, it's protected First Amendment speech. And it's that way on what we advertise with, it's that way with campaign donations. The political campaigns of political candidates have some leeway to say things that may blur the line between, accurate, inaccurate, truth, fiction. But since it's protected First Amendment speech since the 1970s in the Buckley case, it's more or less free to go for them.
So political advertising does not really reach the plateau or the level it should. And people are overwhelmed with all those wonderful pictures of people, but no one's telling the truth or giving the facts.
But when I grew up and I was in college, there was a Fairness Act. So if NBC put on 30 minutes of Donald Trump, they had to give 30 minutes to whoever the opposition was. And so there was no economic advantage. Just because you were richer didn't mean you had the right to silence someone else's voice. The local news covers, everybody who got murdered, who got into car accidents or flood or damage. Disaster, those are very popular. But in terms of really covering what's going on in your city council or that, there's almost no action unless it's a scandal. So from that, I think people learn that government is about scandal. It's not about communal decision making. It's not about us, it's about them. And that's the sad thing to watch. I think this us versus them is a mainstay of Fox News in particular, but even the other news, they're really presenting a corporate point of view, not a news and independent point of view. So they say one man's truth is another man's falsehood, and one man's truth may not be a woman's truth. So I think the points that were made about the unfairness, that's very true of all the media. So people should be suspicious and distrustful of what they see in the media.
Because anybody who goes into politics realizes they have to raise a crazy amount of money. Even at the local level, some of our nonpartisan campaigns, they have to raise $40,000 and $50,000. How does a local person do that? That means they have to spend their time fundraising.
I think it'll be interesting in this election coming up with campaign fundraising. I mean, ever since the Citizens United decision, we've more or less said it's open season for corporations, international individuals in the United States. There are ways to donate whatever you want to donate to a campaign today. And again, that's hydraulic theory to its core. If I want to give a candidate $1, there is a way for me to legally give the candidate $1. It's just a question of how easy it will be to do it. I think what will be interesting in this election is Hillary Clinton has raised so much more money than Donald Trump. I mean, tens of millions of dollars more. And there's questions about whether Donald Trump, if he wins the nomination, will actually take the public financing option and decide to use the taxpayer donation because he gets so much free media coverage from major media networks that he may not even need to put any of his own money in, which completely changed the dynamic. And ironically, he would be one of the candidates who least needs public financing, but he might take public financing because of the opportunities it allows him, which I think would raise all sorts of questions about the future of that program and what citizens really think about it and whether it's being used properly, improperly. But again, this is going to be, every election from now till the end of time will be the most expensive election until some type of limits are put in place, which nobody wants the limits because the people that would need to enact limits are the ones who benefit from there being no limits. So, there's really no incentive for them to do that. So.